and in this video I'm going to be comparing the Nexus 7 and the Apple iPad mini. I'm going to be going putting them head to head, you know, see what kind of specs they have, seeing which one's right for you if you're deciding between the two. So first of all, the Nexus 7 has a 7-inch screen, iPad mini has a 7.9-inch screen, so the iPad mini is slightly bigger, but it does mean it's slightly more difficult to hold in the hand. I do have big hands, but I can grip it with one hand, but it's not very comfortable. It doesn't really feel comfortable when you're holding it. But in the Nexus 7, because it has a 6:10 aspect ratio or something like that, it's got kind of like a widescreen screen. It's a lot easier to hold in the hand, especially when you're holding like this, because it's got a bigger bezel. It's a lot easier to hold. But in the iPad mini, it's got a slimmer bezel and it's a lot more difficult to hold in one hand just because of that slimmer bezel. But that's just something to bear in mind. We're going to take a look at the hardware of the Nexus 7 first. So you can see the back of it is made out of this kind of rubber plastic. Even though the quality may not be great, but it's still very comfortable to hold in the hand. It just, the curved edges just fit nicely in the palm of your hand, very comfortable to hold and use. And you could use this with one hand, so the size is great, it fits great in your hand, so that's it. Give you a quick walkthrough, show you how thick it is. Quick look through, you got the Nexus on the back with the Asus. Show you the bottom, the headphone jack is at the bottom, and you got nothing at the top. And no, if you didn't notice, this Nexus 7 doesn't have a rear facing camera, so that's something to bear in mind. If you're planning on taking pictures with your tablet, which I don't know why you would, but if you are, that's just something to bear in mind. Let's go take a look at the iPad mini now. Like I said before, it's got a 7.9-inch screen, so it's slightly bigger, and it is better for like watching movies, browsing internet, just because you get that slightly bigger screen. So let's take you through. This is the white version. You can see how slim it is. It's much slimmer than the Nexus 7. I do a little video showing you how slim they are. So you can see on the back, you got the Apple logo, iPad, and it's aluminium back, so it's very good quality. And on the black one, you do get a black kind of matte finish on that one, I think. And you got the burst side here. You can see headphone jack is at the top, and you do have a rear facing 5-megapixel camera which shoots 1080p video, and you got the one at the front which shoots 720p video, so that's pretty good. And that's just a quick look at it. I'm going to show you how thin they are. I'm going to move the camera down a bit and just show you how thin they are when you compare it. The iPad is much thinner. Okay, that's just to give you an idea of how thin they are. So you can see iPad is a lot thinner than the Nexus 7. Just give you a good idea. Let's put them on top of each other. Put them to the side. Hopefully you can get a good idea of how thin it is, but the iPad is much thinner. So to kind of wrap up on the hardware, yes, the iPad mini does have better build quality. That's just because of the aluminium back. This has the premium quality that Apple's used to making. With all the Apple products, you get this kind of premium finish with it. Definitely better build quality. However, the Nexus 7 is made, although it's made out of plastic, it does feel a lot more comfortable to use in the hand than the iPad mini. So you can see I just hold it there. This one I have to kind of stretch my hands out a bit. It just makes it awkward to hold in the hand when you're holding the iPad mini. But Nexus 7 much easier to use. So that's about it for the hardware. Let's get into software. This is running iOS. This is running Android. Go do your research. Which platform you prefer better. This is running Jelly Bean. I think almost the latest version, 4.1.2. And this is running iOS 6.1, so let's boot up. And in terms of speed, I would say they're about the same. I'll say the iPads are slightly more responsive and slightly smoother, like when you're scrolling across. So I can show you. iPads are slightly more smoother, although the Nexus 7 is pretty smooth when you're scrolling, but the iPad just has that slight edge. And next, want to talk about the screen a little bit more. Because this has a 720p screen and this has a slightly lower resolution, the same resolution that was on the iPad 2, so text and images aren't going to be as clear. Let me zoom into one of the icons, hopefully it will kind of adjust. You see, once you look at it very closely, you can see it slightly pixelated, but on the Nexus 7 you don't really have that issue. Could zoom in on one of the application icons. It's not really noticeable on the Nexus 7 even when it's close up, but on the iPad mini is more noticeable. But when you're viewing videos or pictures, you don't really notice the pixels in the image. It's kind of like it's gone, so it's not really an issue for me. But the screen still does look great, especially when you're watching movies, maybe browsing the web, games, all of that runs good. So there might be a selling point for you. You might want a higher retina display iPad, so that's just something to bear in mind. But with normal use, if you hold it at a normal distance, you won't notice it. So to kind of wrap up, if you're undecided about which one to get, look at it this way. It all comes down to what you prefer and your preference. So you might prefer one OS over the other. So whether you like Android or you prefer iOS, make your choice. And also it comes down on price as well. If you want a cheaper tablet that does more or less the same thing and has better specs than the iPad mini, definitely go for the Nexus 7. But if you want to pay that little bit extra money just for the better build quality and the app support, which is one of the main reasons why I bought the tablet, because it has better applications that are better optimized for the tablet screen, while Android doesn't really have that much. It might have a few apps in the marketplace, but not that many. That's one of the main reasons why I bought the iPad mini. So it may be a selling point for you. It was definitely a selling point for me, so that's something to bear in mind. Also on the back, you do get an additional camera and a bigger screen with the iPad, so you can see why you're paying a little bit more. You're paying for the build quality, the extra camera, the bigger screen. Although the specs aren't as good as this one, but you're paying for a little bit more with this one. And also the bigger screen really does help when you're web browsing, because if you look here, if I could kind of put this on top of it, you can see how big the screen is. The screen is actually bigger than the width of the tablet itself, so you're paying for a lot more screen space, and it really comes in handy when you're web browsing, viewing pictures, watching movies and all of that good stuff. So there are some benefits to each tablet. Like I said, narrow down your preferences if you're having trouble deciding. Make a list of what you want from a tablet. If you want to spend more or less, it's entirely up to you. Hopefully this video helped you decide what you want to get. Let's open up Chrome on here really quickly. Let's go over to BBC Weather. Let me just show you how the screens are. Let me turn the brightness up on the Nexus 7. So let's go into display. Let's turn both of them, the brightness way up, so you can just see what the screen quality looks like. So both brightness is fully up on both devices, so you can see how it is. Let me go back into the web browser. And you can see you just get so much more screen space when you're web browsing, and I think this size is slightly better for, you know, browsing the web and playing games and stuff like that, because you just get that slightly bigger screen and the aspect ratio is just a little bit different. So hopefully from this you could decide which tablet you want. Yeah, and that's about it. Leave your comments below, tell me what you think. Are you planning on getting a tablet? Are you going to go for the Nexus 7 or the iPad mini? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Also, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching. Peace.